Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to share with you some tips that I've learned over the last few years that I think will absolutely transform your houseplants, so let's check it out. The first tip is probably the biggest change that I made to my houseplant collection this year to keep them looking healthy as well as to get larger leaves, and frankly I think it's not talked about enough. It is the importance of pH in your soil and water. I actually stumbled upon the importance of pH because of this plant right here. This is a golden pothos. It was starting to get some yellowing leaves and they were actually falling off on the lower portion of the stem. So I sent a picture over to my very intelligent friend Ashley from Gardening in Canada. She actually made me aware of the importance of pH. So I did grab a water testing kit and I found out that my water, or my filter tap water, was actually extremely alkaline. Now, without getting too sciencey, if you have soil or water that is too alkaline or too acidic, it's going to make your nutrients or your fertilizer unavailable for the plant to uptake through its root system. It needs to be between a pH of 6 and 7 in order for most tropical houseplants to utilize those nutrients. So you may have a plant that is not growing very well and you could give it all the fertilizer that you want, but if it's not in that optimal pH range, it's not going to be able to use those nutrients. So you could fertilize as much as you want. It's probably just going to cause fertilizer burn, but it's not going to be able to utilize those nutrients in order for it to grow. I'll show you guys a few examples of some houseplants that have been doing just incredible since I changed the pH of my water. I went out and bought this pH test kit, so it comes with a testing container as well as some solution. This is filtered tap water. This is what I use for all of my houseplants, and then you take the solution and you basically just add a couple drops into the water like that, mix it up. You can see it is green, and you can reference that on the back of the container here, and you can see it's around the 7 to a pH of 8. So this is quite alkaline. And the way you can change your pH is with a product like this. This is Root Farm. This is a pH down. This will help lower the pH of whatever water source it is that you use. They also have a pH up. If your water is very acidic, you can also buy the pH up just to get it into that optimal range of between 6 to 7. I fill up 4-liter jugs of water with filter tap water. For every watering, I will always add in the pH down as well as a very diluted amount of fertilizer from Dynagrow Foliage Pro, and I use that for every watering. Now I'm going to test a small amount of the pH down as well as the fertilizer mix just to see if it's in that pH of between 6 and 7. So you can already see it's changing to a yellow color. I'm just going to add the cap and then shake that up, and then you can see it looks like a container of urine, and definitely it's within the ranges of 6 to 6.5. It's closer to 6.5, I would think. So this is just a quick and easy way to help you determine the pH of specifically your water. There are soil testing kits as well, but for right now I've only done the watering. I just want to make sure that my watering is within the optimal ranges. Now I'm going to show you a few plants that have just absolutely exploded. Okay, here is my Anthurium magnificum. Here are the original leaves. Started using the pH down, proper pH. Look at this largest leaf, and then look at this one. It's still sizing up and it's still growing, but just absolutely massive. Like, it's the size of my head. It's still in the small terracotta original pot that I have it in, but yeah, I think the results speak for itself. There's no yellowing on it. There's no crispy edges. It's a very healthy leaf. Yeah, so I can't believe how big these leaves are. I'm going to take you around for a few more. Here is my Alocasia Jacqueline. Here's the original leaf, and boom, the newest leaves. Like, look how large they are. Varicosum. Here is a new leaf coming in. It's going to be massive. Here's my Philodendron Ploumanii, original leaf, and the newest one. It's sized up quite a bit. Here is the SP Columbia or Silver. Here's one of the original leaves. And look at the newest leaf. Like, it's huge. I can't believe how much of a change there is in the overall growth and just the health of all of these plants and leaves. Here is my Anthurium hookerii variegated. Here are a couple of the original leaves and then the newest leaf. Absolutely massive. It's gotten much longer as well as wider, so huge difference with these plants after just simply changing the pH of the water that I use. Another example is right back here. This is my Anthurium pterodactyl. Here are the original leaves, and here is the leaf that I got in my care. And now it's getting another leaf right here. All of my anthuriums are flowering. They're getting inflorescences here as well. Here's another anthurium. This is the Villanorum. Here's the original leaves. They're just looking crispy. And then here's the newest leaf, like huge difference. Now the next tip is knowing exactly how much light your plant is getting. You may think that you are giving your plant enough light when in fact it may need more. So I'm going to talk about both artificial as well as natural sunlight. So for grow lights, which I have downstairs here in my plant workshop area, there's no natural sunlight. It is 100% grow lights. It's extremely easy to control all the factors with how much light my plants receive. I have all of them on timers. They turn on and turn off automatically. I have them set for 14 hours. Even the distance from the light to the plant is important. The closer the light it is to a leaf, the more par or more light that the plant is receiving. So there are reference guides to each grow light in regards to how far to place the light for optimal light and growth. And a very simple way that I measure the amount of light my plants get is through a digital light meter. Now this is not an exact measurement of how much light the plant is actually receiving. This is just a tool used to measure the amount of visible light, but it's just a good tool to use to help you determine roughly how much light your plant is getting and maybe the area where you could better place it to get more light, if that makes sense. I'll show some examples of measurements here in a minute, but where you start to get in trouble is when you have it in natural sunlight. There's different variable factors that go into placing plants, certain times of the day and even certain times of the year. Obviously the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so as it scoots along the sky, your plant will be receiving different amounts of light throughout the day. And like I said, even the time of year can change the amount of light that your plant gets. In the summer here in the northern hemisphere, the sun is very high in the sky, so if you have plants near, say, a south-facing window or even an east or west, you're not going to get that sunlight reaching far back to your like back walls or rooms. So you might have to supplement some of those plants that are further away from the window. When the sun is high in the sky, it's just not going to penetrate to the very back. In the winter months, the sun is lower in the sky, so you might actually receive direct sunlight to the very back of your living room or whichever room it is. So when using the light meter, I like to use the units of foot candles. Anywhere between 50 and 250 foot candles is low light, 250 to 500 is medium light, 500 to 1,000 is high light, and anything over 1,000 is considered direct sunlight. So I have this gooseneck grow light fairly close to the leaves of my jade plant, and you can see it is in, well, the glare there is around 700 and so foot candles. So this is considered high light for this plant. And as you can see, the further away you get from the light source, the foot candles or the amount of light that the plant is receiving drops quite significantly. So with succulents, jades, you want the grow lights to be fairly close. But when you have other plants like tropicals, I'm going to place it right here. So that is in the medium range. So all these plants are getting kind of that medium to low light. So this is perfect for these types of plants, whereas succulents and those types of plants need much higher light. Here are some of my houseplants that receive natural sunlight. I do have some jades here, as well as some plants on my plant shelf. About 2 feet back from the window, it is getting about 250, almost 300 foot candles, and as I come closer, obviously the light gets a lot brighter, and when in direct sunlight it's over 1,000 foot candles. So I can change the setting, but I'm not going to right now. So it is well over 1,000 foot candles. So you can see right there it's almost 2,000 foot candles. So at the plant shelf, oh, there's a bird in my bird feeder right there. My little bird window. I don't know if you can see in there or not. Over here on the plant shelf, it's getting about 200 foot candles or so. And again, this differs throughout the time of day. Do have a little grow light here for some of my alocasias, and it's receiving about 400. Now way back here at the back wall of my south-facing window, it's only getting about 30 foot candles. Here are some aglaonemas, which I supplement with a Soltec grow light. This is the aspect, and it is getting about 400. So with that on, it is now getting about 400 foot candles approximately. So yeah, I just occasionally use my light meter to check the amount of light that my plants get, and then yeah, if you need extra, then you can just add grow lights in certain areas. Now the next tip is picking the right fertilizer. I use Dynagrow Foliage Pro for all of my houseplants, including succulents as well as plants that I have growing in water. Now these numbers right here, this is what you want to pay attention to. I use a 936, and this is what is recommended for most houseplants. There's different variations of it. There is 312, which is exactly the same. This is just 3 times more concentrated. So these numbers depict the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And why are these numbers important? You can see obviously there is a higher concentration of nitrogen, and nitrogen basically aids in the development of stems and leaves. It helps with production of chlorophyll. So this is basically what you want for larger, healthier leaves. Now for phosphorus, the second number, which is 3% right here, phosphorus helps with the development of flowers and fruit. So yeah, plants that you want to flower more frequently, then you will probably want a higher phosphorus number. Now the last is potassium, and this helps with basically root development. Nice healthy roots. So that's just a very basic guideline of what the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium numbers are. Obviously just follow the directions on the back. I use fertilizer for every watering. I use a very diluted dose. I use the maintenance dose. So I add 2 milliliters with like a little Tylenol syringe, and then I just add it into a 4-liter container of water with the pH down solution as well. So this is my setup that I'm currently using for my houseplants. And the reason why I fertilize with every watering as a very diluted amount, obviously I have a lot of houseplants. I cannot keep track of which plant I fertilize when, and I don't fertilize them all at the same time. So it was just very easy for me to have a very small amount of fertilizer in each watering. That way I'm not over fertilizing one plant or not fertilizing another, if that makes sense. So this is what I use. It is an awesome mixture, and it also has the hydroponic production dosing here as well, which I use for some of my houseplants, like the Syngonium chiepens, as well as a couple monsteras that I have growing in water. Now the next tip is this little guy right here. I have an oscillating fan downstairs here in my basement for all my houseplants. I don't hear it talked about very often, and honestly I have to do a little bit more research myself, but it is important to have airflow around houseplants. Now when you have tropical houseplants, usually you need a little bit of a higher humidity level. So right now downstairs, mine is at 63%. I don't have any of my humidifiers or anything running right now. This is just the ambient air. So it's 64% downstairs. So having airflow for houseplants not only helps with insects, but it helps with mold, mildew, bacteria, fungal issues as well. So just having a nice constant light airflow like this is important at helping those issues. Now sometimes you hear people saying that you shouldn't get water on plant leaves, specifically succulents and even orchids. And the reason for that is because when we have houseplants indoors, typically we don't have a steady breeze like this, which helps kind of evaporate those water droplets off the leaves. If they remain on the leaves, then you end up with rotting issues or bacteria or fungal concerns. So that can obviously be corrected with a light breeze. Now obviously you don't need to, blast them, so I'm not putting it up to a speed of 3 or 6. Like it doesn't need like a hurricane strength wind. If you use grow lights, I have a bunch of LED ones. Even though they don't emit a lot of heat, a fan can help with that temperature regulation as well. So I think it's very important, and I don't think it's talked about enough. I know there are articles out there saying that you should not use a fan, but overall I think it helps with the health of my plants. Let me know what you think of using a fan for air circulation in your home. And again, you don't have to specifically use a fan. If you have access to windows, then open up your windows and just let that natural airflow go through your house. But I think it's beneficial to your houseplants. But if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down in the comment section and let's talk about it. The last pointer I'm going to give you, it's going to be a really quick one, is it's not really necessary for your day-to-day growth of most of your houseplants. But if you have smaller plants or little seedlings, I would recommend using a heat mat. Here is an alocasia frydek, which I was struggling with for a very long time while it was in soil and just on my tabletop over here. I put it in perlite. Anytime the perlite gets dry, then I water this like I would with any other plant. I just soak the soil with that fertilizer or water mixture, and it's doing extremely well. Alocasias love to be warm and cozy, so I've placed a few of my smaller houseplants on heat mats. I do have some here as well, some monsteras. Here is a Thai constellation. Since placing it on a heat mat, this small little cutting, which had 2 original leaves, so here's the original and here's the original. As soon as I put it on the heat mat, it pushed out this leaf, and now it's getting another leaf as well. So just in the matter of a couple months, it has gotten a couple leaves, and same with this one. Here is the newest leaf on this Thai. So yeah, and then my albo here. If you have small plants that are struggling a little bit, I guarantee they'll like the extra heat to the root system. It just promotes a healthier, faster root growth. And like I said, I just can't believe how quick this frydek pushed out some new leaves. It was just a small little corm, and now it's got 3 growth points. Now obviously I'm not telling you to go out and buy everything that you've seen in this video. This is just for discussion purposes. The conditions in my home might be greatly different from yours, so just do a little bit of research. I just want to provide some information that has helped me with growing my houseplants better. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. I really appreciate the support, and thanks to all my viewers and subscribers. This channel would be nothing without you guys, so I thank you greatly. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.